Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show we call The Business of Life. And boy, what a show we have for you today.
Sun is hot and that old clock is moving slow, and so am I.
Darn it, I forgot to ask Harry if he does country music. Well, I'm going to have him back in June, and I turned off the phones. I apologize. We got so many people angry that I didn't let them call in. So now if you want to call in and talk about your lousy job, 298-5487, 298-5487. I have two of the real experts in the country. I'm serious when I say that. One of them is a friend. The other one, I have no idea how he even arrived here, but he's smart. You'll hear his voice, and we'll banter. Dan Lippman, how are you, Danny?
Pleasure, Coach. How are you?
You got to speak closer into the microphone.
Pleasure,
Wasn't
Coach.
that a good?
Fantastic.
No, you got to look closer, like straight. Don't even look at me. You don't need to look at me. Just talk.
Got it.
Wasn't Harry good? Wasn't Harry?
Fantastic.
I mean, that is a big time. Big time. Anyway, he's going to come back, and I apologize for turning off the phones. Now the phones are back on, 298-5487. If you want to learn how to do better in your job, maybe you're struggling in your job, maybe you're underemployed, we'll talk about that. So let me now introduce one of the brightest guys I've met in the last 2 minutes, Aaron Moskowitz. I love your name, Aaron. Just the name is successful, just having a successful name. Do you know how successful that name is, Aaron Moskowitz?
Well, it's successful unless you're trying to fit it on the back of a basketball jersey.
Moskowitz.
Yeah. Then
yeah.
you're just,
Yeah. Well, you're
no
not.
chance.
Yeah. Were you a basketball player? A guard? You were a guard.
No, I was center.
No, you
forward.
weren't a center.
Okay,
Aaron, you weren't
guard.
a center.
Yeah,
you were a guard.
very inspired by the Warriors.
You weren't a guard. I mean, you weren't a center.
I was definitely a guard.
All right, so the site's almost done. It'll be job how. Anyway, you'll be back. The site's not done now. Let's not even get into the site. Yeah. So you guys got into this job world. The timing, I couldn't congratulate you more. The timing is as perfect as it could be. This whole country, I think, is underemployed. The whole country needs the two of you because people are afraid. Am I right or wrong in this? People are afraid to go and leave their current job to interview for a new job. Am I accurate there?
No, you're accurate. Absolutely, they are. You know, the problem is that a lot of people are under the impression that we're still in a recession. You know, coming out of a recession still. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fear out there. Absolutely. Aaron.
And when there's fear, you get immobilized. When there's fear, you can't move.
Well, the problem is that, you know, with the fear, a lot of the people out there have a lot of talent. Unfortunately, they can't show their talent. A lot of them took jobs that they technically did not want. You know.
So now you're going to get me to really start ranting here about talent. Really, is this what this is all about? So, Aaron, do you think everybody has talent out there?
I think there are large groups of people that have talent. It's just not put together and presented the right way, in the right places, per se. We see lots of clusters of talent throughout the country. We see an area, one of the most liberal areas in the country, in San Francisco, somehow employing more people than other areas, and that's because they've aggregated one area of talent, which is essentially programmers.
Yeah. But it's interesting you bring up San Francisco. My middle daughter lives there. When you research cities that do well employment-wise or in cool areas, like Germany has always been one of the highest productivity countries because of the cool weather. San Francisco is always like the top 3 for high productivity because the weather is cool. People do better in cooler weather. True story. Do the research. All right. Anyway, You're listening to KHTS AM 1220. The show is called The Business Life. If you want to call in and talk about jobs, how to do better in your job, 298-5487, 298-5487. So here's what I would say about doing better in the job. This may seem trite, may seem too basic. I wrote a book called The Thinking Room. In my book, I say that the people that are the most likable. Dan, you're likable. You're a very successful man. Aaron, I don't know you from Adam, but you're likable. I liked you within like 1 minute. And I'll give you everything. What do you want? You need money? What do you need?
I'm fine. I'm okay.
Okay.
Taking care
so
of.
I like you. I liked you. You just are likable, man. And that's why you're so successful. So getting likable or having a high likability factor, you get promoted. You get to keep your job. Your fellow employees like you, and they talk about you in a positive way. So to me, likability is more important than talent. I'm sorry.
I mean, you literally need to be part of the team. You need to be a family member, and you know how your family kind of cuts out certain people from family activities every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
The black sheep, the person you don't want there. You don't want to be that person at work. You don't want to be the serious, like, kind of against the grain type.
Aloof.
The aloof.
Loner.
It's not good for your career.
Thank you. That's Aaron Moskowitz, and I'm here with Dan Littman. They're starting a whole new wonderful site called Job How. It's not ready yet. They're going to help you do better in your job. They're going to have a website like WebMD. You're going to be able to go there and learn all kinds of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the underemployed. When you brought that up a few minutes ago, before we started this segment, to me, underemployed means that you have a job, you have talent, but you're not earning anywhere close to what your talent and your worth ethic and caring translates into. That's what I mean when I say underemployed? Is that what you mean?
It is, and it's somewhat of a corner that people with great experience have been pushed into, where a lot of companies have conveyed, their challenges with affording a full salary for those people. But these people need to do something. They need to work 12 hours a week or whatever they can.
What it is that it's...
I don't know what he just said. I have no clue what he just said.
Basically what it is that you have individuals out there that are underfulfilled.
There you go.
Okay.
So you and I agree.
Yeah, they're underfulfilled, and basically, if they don't find a good match, they're not going to last long. That doesn't look good on the resume as well. Okay. Basically, you have to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to. And
interesting. You have to work smarter, not harder. So that's complicated because depending on what job you have, if you're, well, maybe that applies to everything in life, not just jobs.
I agree.
Yeah, I like that. So working smarter means that you have to learn how to do research. Maybe you can create an edge in your job by finding out how other people are doing better.
Correct.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be a good start?
Yes.
So, Aaron Moskowitz, modeling somebody else that's at the top of their game, is there anything wrong with that? Modeling?
I think that's fine, but as everybody knows, it all comes down to what is said during the actual interview. And a lot of careers are determined from that initial interview. And then moving to probably another company as opposed to up within your company.
So first impressions really do make sense.
Yes.
So you made a good first impression with me. That was awesome. Because you know what I like about you is you're authentic. I think a lot of people try to be somebody they're not, or they in the job interview.
Right.
Like I was talking to a friend of mine who's actually an ex-detective of the LAPD, and the subject came up about the interview one day, and I said, when they interviewed you, did they ask if you stole anything? And he said, yeah. How did you know? I said, well, I've talked to other cops. I said, well, what did you say? He said, yeah, I stole stuff. So he got hired because the police department wanted somebody that would tell the truth, somebody that was authentic, I mean, he didn't steal. He stole a candy bar or something like that.
But maybe he had a good reason or story that really resonated with the interviewer.
Well, I think being authentic, that's where I was going. Just being yourself. Just, I think we need more authentic people.
It's funny you bring
Does that
that
make
up.
any sense?
It's funny you bring that up because 2 weeks ago, I had a knock on the door, and I opened it, and it was someone from the government interviewing me for my good friend that went ahead and applied for a government job. So I was, they totally asked me about our personal relationship from growing up from a child up. And they went ahead and questioned me, do you know if he's ever done any drugs? I said, absolutely not. So I called my friend that evening. I said, and they asked me this, and I said, so what'd you say, Brian? He goes,
where did you call him in the drug rehab center?
No. And I said, Brian, so they asked me this, and I said, no. And he goes, that's funny because I told him yes.
Oh, boy.
No. He has the job. But he goes, Dan, I did marijuana when I was younger, this and that, and I'm not going to lie. So he
well, you lied for him.
I did, because I was trying to protect him.
So he got the job anyway?
He got the job, yeah.
Wow.
But that's okay, because you brought up a point.
Yeah.
He was honest. He wasn't lying.
Yeah.
He had nothing to hide.
Done.
You didn't inhale.
I was an athlete. Unlike you two, I'm an athlete, and for some reason, I never did drugs, to this day. That doesn't mean I won't do drugs in the future, but I'm not doing any right now.
Absolutely.
Never done any drugs. Have you guys done drugs? Do you want to admit to something?
I didn't inhale.
I don't know if it's super.
All right, back to jobs. So the website's coming out, jobhow.com, Aaron Moskowitz and Dan Littman. So underemployed, we have a great, I would say almost everybody's underemployed. It's sad. I'll say 80%. I'd say 80% of people are working under their talent ability, they lack the drive. This is what, I know I'm going to get on a little political rant right now, but is our country inspired, Aaron? Do you think our country is really inspired to be the best that they can be? When you look at government jobs, and I know I'm going to get in trouble here, too big a government creates mediocrity from my point of view. So if it creates mediocrity, then you're just doing your job. You're not trying to perform better, because if you perform better than your fellow associates, they say, "Hey, slow it down, coach. You don't need to work 10 hours a day. We want to start at 9, leave at 5. Don't get here at 8 and leave at 7." Right?
Right. Yeah, well, I think people are inspired by true leadership and seeing what real success looks like.
Yeah.
And I don't think success through government or the public sector really comes without some level of corruption or somebody,
That's Aaron Moskowitz saying that, ladies and gentlemen. Not the coach.
I mean, that's what happens. But it's also kind of like a big mutual fund, right? When you have everybody in your mutual fund, you're just not going to grow.
Well, when things get too big, you just have mediocrity. I don't care what it is, whether it's government or a club. If things get too big, people tend to go towards the center. They just tend to settle. How's that?
Yeah.
Can you buy into that? People tend to settle.
Definitely, they settle, and
because they don't think they're going to be recognized for their effort. And I think you guys are two humble guys. I have to pull it out of you, but I think one of the things your job site's going to do is help people understand that they can stand out in their employment, that they can make a difference in the workplace. Am I right or wrong on this, guys?
Right. You need to have growth without any hindrance. You cannot be held back by where you work. So if you really believe in growth for yourself,
there you go.
You more than likely need to go somewhere where you can see success, where your employer and you are willing to take equal risk.
That's interesting, but can I challenge you, Aaron
Sure.
Moskowitz? I would say that while you're on the job, do your homework, do your research, spend hours in discovery, and figure out what you are an expert at. Don't you think at the end of the day, having an expertise is what you're going to be highly paid for?
I think so, but a lot of different types of expertise are overlooked in today's world, and sometimes we look for too much expertise within a skill set that is more like science oriented, and there could be a combination of skill sets that you already do have, but maybe the voice isn't there in your head, saying the right things.
I believe that a big problem we have right now has to do with technology. The fact is that everybody is sitting behind their computer, looking at the monitor, and it's so easy to fire off resumes to so many companies. I mean, you look back in 1994, the 1994 recession, for example. Okay, people went ahead and looked at the LA Times. They took time to go ahead and circle each job that applies to them. Right?
Yeah, that's old school.
That's old school.
Yeah.
But they took the time. Okay, to go ahead and truly research. Then they had to go to the location, drop off the resume, meet someone there, get interpersonal communication going. Today, they're sitting down at a computer, setting off resumes, fire them out, not truly knowing what the position is about. So it makes it more complicated for an HR manager, to go ahead and go through hundreds or thousands.
Pick up the phone, man. Pick up the phone.
Thank you.
Exactly.
It has to do with interpersonal communication. That's lacking today.
Do you mind? I like what you just said. I'm honoring what you just said, but I want to go back. Something that Aaron Moskowitz just said really hit a nerve with me. Do you know what that nerve is? It is that what you're saying is that some people have talent that is dormant.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, that I've never.
Lots of sleeping giants, definitely.
Wow. Yeah. I have to support that. I really have to support that. That we look too much. I'm pretty shallow. I think you guys can tell how shallow I am, and I think my shallowness sometimes hurts me because I'm not patient enough to look behind the curtain and really understand that there might be that dormant talent there.
Yeah.
So you said leadership. And you might be right. So it might take a mentor. Can I do a cheap plug for my show called The Mentor Show? Do you mind?
It's your show, I mean.
Yeah, no, it is my show. Thank you. It is my show. You're listening to The Business of Life on KHTS AM 1220, one of the great radio stations in the country. Why do I say that? Because when you look at their website, hometownstation.com, it's one of the best websites. If you go and sign up, you'll get what's called a KHTS news brief. I get it about 4:45 to 5:15 every night, and you don't need to read the newspaper anymore. KHTS will provide you all the news you need to have. That's a quick plug. They don't pay me to say that. I just love the owners. They do so much for our community. So back to what you said, Aaron. So I know so many people that have dormant talent. How is your website, or what you guys are going to do? You're going to do a conference call, which I love. I love the idea that you're going to do a conference call for people to listen in. So if you could get college kids, if you could get Bernie's not going to make it, but if you could call Bernie and say, Bernie, we've got a conference call thing. Can I plug into your college kids? We'll put you on I'd put Bernie on your payroll, seriously.
Sure.
Get Bernie on your payroll, and if you could get like 30 million college kids listening to your conference call, are kids learning anything in college? Be honest, guys. Come on, be honest.
It depends what they're majoring in. Bioengineering, sure. But
chemistry, yes.
Chemistry, absolutely.
But I would say 80% of the kids are there just body. They're not. How do I want to say this? They're not getting hired. Let me stop and just take a breath. The unemployment rate is much higher than we're told.
Agreed.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. These college kids go to a restaurant. That's who's waiting on you at the college. Kids with master's degrees.
Right.
Because they don't know how to interview. They don't know how to say to an employer, I can be productive from day one or day 90.
Right. Because the whole pitch before they went to college, and this is an assumption made by the parents as well who pay for the college, is that you go to school and you get the job. That's like a 1950s mentality. So unfortunately, they graduate and they figure, geez, I just did 4 years of work. I'm going to go get my job.
4 years of passing a test. Come on, Aaron Moskowitz.
Whatever it is, there's something that's instilled in these poor kids, and they're misled. And by the way, the public universities right now, you're talking about thousands of kids in a public lecture hall.
They don't know.
How do they learn?
They don't know how to interview. The problem is there's 3 issues I see because I hire people. They don't know how to interview. They don't have that likability factor that we talked about. So in the interview, they don't answer questions. They can't tell you how they're going to be productive for your company. They don't have leadership skills. It's terrible. I mean, I can rant and rave all day.
Look who they're learning from.
Right. I mean, what it comes down to, if you can tell an employer why you're better, different, or unique, you'll get them interested.
Yep.
Most importantly, every employer out there wants you to do one thing: solve their problem.
There you go. Boy, did you nail that's Dan Lippman, everybody.
Right there.
That you nailed it. And when I interview people, right, if you can solve problems for anybody, I don't care what it is, you will climb the ladder of success.
Yes.
Being a problem solver requires a lot of different skills we can talk about. That's a great intro when we come back from break. Our show is brought to you by Lisa's Tax Service. If you need, this lady is certified, qualified to represent you in front of the IRS. You have to be pretty smart to do that. Lisa's Tax Service. Look her up. If I give you her phone number, you're not going to pay attention to it anyway. Lisa's Tax Service. Going to come right back, and I'm going to try to I don't want to say that. I'm going to try to ask you a lot of questions quickly. Are you ready for that? We'll do like 50 questions in 2 minutes, something like that. So my first question is, what is the number one misconception about finding a job? We're going to come right back on the show we call The Business Life with the Job How Guys. The Job How Guys. The site will be ready in 10 years, or hopefully sooner, right? Hopefully sooner.
9 years.
9 years. Yeah. JobHow.net is JobHow.net. We'll be right back on the show we call The Business Life on KHTS AM 1220. Welcome back. Welcome back. The show is called The Business Life here in Southern California on KHTS AM 1220. So glad to have you along for the ride. We've got a great show ahead.
Is moving slow.
Yeah, Justin's producing the show. He's produced all my shows. He's one of the great kids in Santa Cruz. He's not a kid. Well, he is a young man, and this kid's going to do well in his life someday. So back to, it's really an interesting subject. Jobs. The site being built now called Job How. It's going to be like a WebMD. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, these guys are telling me stuff during the break. I can't wait for the site to be done, jobhow.net. And we're not going to go into all the 10 misconceptions unless you want to send a check to me. I'll give you one. So they'll send me the check, right, Aaron?
Right.
Yeah. So give me the number one misconception about getting a job.
That hiring employers read all resumes submitted.
Yeah, what a fallacy. You know, I've hired hundreds of people. I didn't even want to look at resumes. I wanted to sit across from you. In fact, my HR department is now prohibited me from actually interviewing people because I would follow you out to the car. I wanted to see if you smoke. A lot of people would light up. These were in the days where regular cigarettes, Camels. Justin, that's the Justin generation. So they would light up, and I'm thinking, I don't want a smoker. I don't get smokers. Smokers. We had a lot of square footage. We had a lot of employees, and the smokers would take smoke breaks for 20 minutes. And I would go to my HR department and pound the desk and say, how do we allow people to do this? Well, we have to give people breaks, every hour. Really? For 20 minutes? Anyway, I'm getting on my soapbox. So how do you get a resume? I mean, I've got a great resume. If you were an employer, how do I get you to read it?
Well, you're going to have to get in contact with them by some other means. I've heard and seen go into play a lot of different tactics, such as sending a letter, going to networking events,
there you go,
placing a phone call.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah, that's a great
I want
way.
a job. I want to work for you guys. I really do. Can I see it tomorrow at 2:00?
No, you're showing passion by doing that.
You really should just ask for 5 minutes. And if you start off with a good conversation, that call will go for 40 minutes. No matter what position this person is at, what company, it's very easy to stretch a call from 5 minutes to 45 minutes. And it's very easy to get a 5-minute call. Especially, I've heard of stories of people flying to other parts of the country just asking for a hiring executive for 15 minutes of their time. But you get 15 minutes of their time and they're enjoying the conversation, it's going to go for 2 hours.
And that leads into, here's a quick trivia question for you, Coach. The percentage of jobs that are gotten through networking, what percentage is that?
I'll say 37%.
70.
Really?
Almost all of them.
See, I never get any crush. That's why I didn't do good in school. I didn't do good in high school because I couldn't pass tests. I just failed another test.
But
I failed that test.
Yeah,
I said 37% and 70%.
You know what? And
F.
Yeah.
That means you're extremely well adept to doing everything else.
And you know what? In another segment, we'll touch on networking too.
Will you guys come back because this is such an important. Justin's looking for a new job. He would love to have a career.
Well, Justin, we'll help you.
No, I mean, look at him. He's got a great smile. This is one nice human being.
He is. He's
a
not
good-looking
on the camera,
kid. He smile. He wants to get out of. He wants to do something. I'm thinking Chippendale Dancer. Really,
Chippendale Dancer.
Really, Chippendale Dancer. All right. The show is called The Business Light. One of the great radio stations in America. HometownStation.com. You can listen. And I'm going to have these guys back. Their site will be done within the next 9 years, jobhow.net. Just write it down, and one of these days it'll pop up there. They'll help you get a job, find a job, keep a job. These are some of the things that they'll be doing for you. They're not today because we're running out of time, but next week we'll talk about where the jobs are. There are plenty of jobs in this country. Maybe not right here, but maybe. Look at you, got a great smile, Justin. Thank you. I'm so honored. Aaron Moskowitz, Dan Littman. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.